and gentlemen, we are back for another transfer roundup. Week commencing the 20th of June. Tomorrow is my birthday, and if you see this, it will probably be out today or tomorrow, so it will be my birthday tomorrow. If not, wait till midnight to wish me happy birthday. Anyways, I digress. So I'm not going to keep you here too long before we get into the transfer roundups, but we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So please, if you're not already, subscribe to us on YouTube. Also, like Spotify, Soundcloud, appreciate all the support over there. But if you can just get us to 1,000 subscribers, I say by the end of this year, so by December of 2022, hopefully we can get to 1,000 subscribers. Anyway, as you can see by the thumbnail, I'll get into the top stories first, and we've got an absolute juicy one. So, Cristiano Ronaldo would be able and would be ready to lower his salary to join Sporting in the near future, and that is coming from Repubblica, which is a news source in Italy. I've been told they're sort of 50-50 reliable, but I think everyone wants this to happen, really, I suppose. Cristiano Ronaldo coming back for a sort of last dance, even though he didn't really even get a first dance here at Sporting. So, I mean, he will probably have to drastically lower his wages if Fernandez wants to keep him in sort of the wage bracket that we have and the salary cap and stuff like that. Whether it's a stake in the Sad, whether Nike help finance the deal. There's been so many conspiracy theories almost on how this deal's going to go. But as a Republic also points that he's interested in Roma as well. Former coach of his, Jose Mourinho, is there. Didn't have the best time together with Real Madrid. I know they had quite a public falling out, but I'm sure Jose Mourinho wouldn't turn down a chance to sign Ronaldo, especially just in like you guys mentioned it before, like sales in shirts, pretty much just bring their own revenue and pretty much makes the money back, especially if there's a free transfer. Doesn't seem to be a part of Eric Ten Hag's plans, so I think this is one to watch out until the wire and deadline day. Something that definitely can, I would say, happen. Maybe not this season, but the season next. The World Cup coming up as well. Ronaldo wants to get as much game time as possible and stay fit for the Qatar World Cup, which is obviously being in December. So whether that's at Roma, whether that's at Man United or at Sporting, I mean, he remains to be seen. But hopefully he can join Sporting again. Republica is doing that one there, and that is the first top story. The second top story is one that you're probably sick of hearing by now, but if you've been living under a rock somehow, Joao Palhinha is set to be sold to Fulham for 20 million euros plus two, well, they say plus two or plus five in bonuses. So that's from Fabrizio Romano, that's from Record, Abola, and Ojogo, all three of them saying that it's pretty much a done deal. Abola says he's flying out next week. He's currently on holiday, so it won't be announced till next week. But so here's how the story goes. Abola reported it, and you guys know it's sort of like a 50-50 with them. They reported the story that he was going to Fulham and that they increased their offer to be higher than Wolves' offer. Wolves are still yet to offer for Palhinha. It looks like they won't be going to anyway. So they offered for 18 million. Palhinha apparently was told by Verandas that they would accept it, and it's up to the player whether he wants the move. Verandas managed to get an extra 2 million to get it to 20 up front, and the rest in bonuses and objectives. But Palhinha was convinced by Marco Silva, obviously a former Sporting coach. I don't know if he had many conversations with him because he was in the B team until sort of 2016 when George Jesus was here, so he didn't really get his chance with Marco Silva. But he seems to be convinced by Fulham's project. He's doubling his salary as well to 2.4 million, which I'm not saying he's there for the money, but it's definitely an extra incentive for him. But yeah, apparently he would have preferred the Wolves move, but Wolves never came with an official offer. We're apparently waiting on Ruben Neves to be sold, which never happened or hasn't happened yet. So it could be that Wolves are left with sort of their hands in their pockets if Neves leaves as well. It doesn't really leave them with a lot of midfielder options. A lot of them have already gone in transfer windows. There's been a few midfielder signings around Europe. So yeah, Palhinha looks to be sold for 20 million. I think is a bit low. I probably think we could have got at least 25, but when you count the bonuses and objectives, probably will get there anyway. But what a story the man's had from being exiled, almost training on his own. Had two bids rejected from CSK Moscow. They wanted 15 million, but they didn't want to pay up. I believe they offered 12. Then from even before that, was loaned out to Braga for 2 years, while we had Godelj and Dumbia and Eduardo Enrique, which is absolutely no disrespect. They're better players than I'll ever be. But Palhinha was a level above, and in my opinion, anyway, became one of the best midfielders in the league at Braga, and he really showed his quality under Ruben Amorim. So it's a good thing that Ruben Amorim sort of stuck his neck out for Palhinha. Said to Varandas, "Look, I need this player," and he was. I know people have a say like you guys is better than him and Palhinha has limitations, but that season he was immense. The title winning season, he's one of them rare players that puts his body on the line. And if you're a Fulham fan watching this, like he put his body on the line, every tackle he's gonna get stuck into, and he's one of them sort of fight for the badge on the shirt. And I think he's going to win over so many Fulham fans, especially in big games. I can imagine him going hard against their rivals Chelsea, and got a few London derbies in there as well. But I think Wolves also miss out on a brilliant player. I think Panina's going to adapt to the Premier League well. It's definitely a lot more physical league than the Portuguese league. And even so, Palhinha going to Fulham probably increases his standing within the national team as well, being in the Premier League. William Carvalho set to be off to Fenerbahce, and Danilo obviously at PSG, and you've got other players, Otavio, Ruben Neves, as mentioned. You know, if he performs well at Fulham, he might be in the pecking order for the start in the national team. But yeah, Palhinha, fantastic servant. Thank you for everything you've done. Again, a great player, and Fulham, you've really got a great player in your hands, 100%. Be sad to see him go, but also, is a better move for his family and better move for him. So hopefully, from there, he can sort of progress his career. I don't know what his next steps will be, but seems to be good for him. And finally, the last top story we have is Matthias Nunes had an offer from Wolves, which apparently was 50 million, but Matthias Nunes isn't convinced by the Wolves project and wants Champions League football. Verandas has tried to get up to 60 million. Um, Wolves sort of have like stayed silent on it. Fabrizio Romano also reporting that no terms are agreed, not personal terms. No offers with the club has been confirmed. But one of the things that Fabrizio mentions, excuse me, is that Matheus Nunes isn't convinced and doesn't really want the move and can't agree personal terms just because he doesn't really see it as a step up. And I don't think that's disrespectful when Wolves fans are saying, I know the money's in the Premier League and it's the most watched league in the world, but when you look at it, it's going from the Champions League and getting your eyes. Like he was called out by Pep Guardiola and one of the best midfielders in the world. Like, that's crazy. No disrespect to Bruno Lage, but like when you have that amount of talent saying how good you are, then you're sort of aiming for a Man City, for a Liverpool, for the top four: Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, United, and no disrespect to Wolves. When you hear that, they've got European football, and Wolves don't really have anything. So it looks like Matheus Nunes is going to stay put unless another offer comes in. But even so, looks like Matheus Nunes isn't accepting it. But Record also report that if Matthias leaves, Sporting will have up to 50 million spent on a centre midfielder, probably a creative one. So our record signing, by the way, 17 million on Paulinho. And there's other ones like Vieto, which was technically a swap with Gelson, so I don't know if that really counts, but he was listed at 11 million. You've got Vinagre at 10. So someone, if Matthias Nunes leaves, we're going to get maybe a potential record-breaking transfer in the club's wise. But it looks like Matheus isn't leaving, so I think that one can be taken with a pinch of salt. But yeah, top stories: Ronaldo would be able to lower his salary. Padinho is set to be sold to Fulham for 18 million euros, and Matheus Nunes had an offer from Wolves, which was rejected by the player himself. Cool. So those are the three big top stories. Let me move on to the first newspapers we're going to go through, and that's a Record. I don't know if I explained this last time, but we go with Record because they've seemed to be the most reliable ones for sporting news, at least. They use like a 95% success rate. A Bola and Ojogo you can put sort of on the same pedestal because they just don't have the insider sources, I suppose, that the Record do with Sporting. So we'll get onto that here. Excuse me, I'm just taking a drink now. So we'll start off with Sporting have entered new talks for Trincao. Trincao other clubs interested, but he only wants Sporting, and that was news of Record today. So that was on the front cover, and that was sort of their big story heading into today. There were some other ports around the world saying that Trincao might be offered as a sort of make way in the Koundé to Barcelona deal. But Trincao has said apparently he only wants Sporting. There's been other clubs interested, but it seems like it's not Palhinha. Trincao he's pushing for that move, so Trincao might be a Sporting player. But I think I've seen a lot of people say that it'll probably be like a deadline day thing, where it just drags out as like a transfer saga to the window, and I can definitely see that happening. But if Sporting want to get ready for pre-season, they need to sort of step their ideas up and push forward, and hopefully get it should be a loan with an option to buy, but I don't know if George Mendes is going to have any say in it. But it looks like he'll be sort of the one to help push this deal along as well. Next one. Rafael Camacho should be leaving. First of all, he rejected an extension in his salary, which would have taken it to 1.6 million clean after tax. He's currently at 1.3 million. So to help the club out a little, he just said, "Yeah, I won't take it. That's fine." He is one step away from joining Aris in Greece. I believe that's how you say it. But he's holding out for Burnley, who are interested and are willing to pay the 3 million the SAD want to get rid of him. It will probably be a loan with an option to buy for both teams. But it seems like Camacho will have his final days in the Sporting shirt soon. Never quite worked out for him. He was one of the big investments of the new Varandas era. Obviously, one of the highest paid players, higher paid than Coates, higher paid than just for example Pot and Ugarte and all these players that are very good. So yeah, so looks like Camacho's on his way out. Got relegated last year with B-Sad, got relegated the year before with Rio Ave. Let's hope he doesn't do the same to Burnley or Aris. But yeah, so he's holding out for Burnley, but expect him to be announced as an Aris player soon, is what I would say. Next bit of news: Eduardo Quaresma is a part of the pre-season team and may stop Sporting from signing another centre back if he performs. Amorim has never been too keen on him, so it'll be good to see what the sort of plan is for him. We've also got Jose Marsa and Jesus Pogba Alcantara coming in as well. That's three centre backs that are all going to try and be competing for another spot. Do we potentially need another one if any of those perform? The jury's still out. We might need another experienced centre back because as little as Vidal played last year, he was still an immense player to have on the bench. So it might be that Eduardo Quaresma steps up and he gets that sort of second choice, because there's going to be three centre backs starting, whether he'll be the second or sort of third choice centre back coming off the bench. I think it'll be a good spot for him. I've always said, a loan would be better for him, but it'll be good to see if Eduardo Quaresma can convince Amorim of his maturity, because I think that was the one thing that he could never sort of convince Amorim with. Pedro Marques has left for Holland, NEC. I believe that's how you say it. For free, Sporting will keep a percentage of his pass, but Pedro Marques again never sort of worked out for him here as well. Had a few loan spells, had a few productive spells with the B team. Was out on loan at Famalicão last year and didn't set the world on fire. Was on loan at Holland at one point. I can't remember what club, so you're gonna have to forgive me. But he was very good there in the second division. Didn't end up getting that permanent move, but he's joined NEC and hopefully his career can keep on. He's still 23 or 22, I believe. So definitely room for improvement, and hopefully he shows Sporting what they're missing. Any sort of percentage of transfer fee will go to Sporting, so that's also good if he does perform, because he's not going to get game time with Paulinho there at the moment. Another rescinded contract is Bruno Tavares, one of the brightest wonder kids. Even some people say he would be better than Joao Fernandez. He was sort of the next one. And when no one didn't really speak about Inacio and Mendes, he was supposed to be the next one to sort of come up, especially when Amorim first took over. But yeah, he's rescinded his contract. He was shot in the chest by one of his friends, I think 2 years ago, and was sent out on loan to Varzim, and he didn't really have a productive spell there. So he's rescinded his contract and joining Paphos in Cyprus. Sporting will keep 50% of any future sale. Again, it's sort of the influences around him that stopped him from becoming the player he is or should be. Anyone who's had him on Football Manager for the last 2 years as well knows he goes to be an absolute stud on the game. So the potential is there, but it's just if you can get the right frame of mind, and I guess a fresh start in Cyprus, new culture, new language is something that might come on, or it might derail even further. We might have sort of like a Freddie Adu situation on our hands where he just ends up playing in the second tier of Finland or something like that. No disrespect to Freddie Adu, of course, but so much potential, but not enough to act on it, I suppose, is the moral of the story there. Next story is Al Rad in Saudi Arabia will sign Eduardo Enrique if they don't get relegated. Eduardo Enrique is currently on loan there with an option to buy, and Al Rad are currently one place above safety. So if they stay up, then Eduardo Enrique is going to become an Al Rad player, get another big salary off the books. Seemed like he's found his foot in there, so it's a fair play to him. Don't think he'll be missed, although wasn't a great player for Sporting. So yeah, sort of these record ones have sort of been like getting the dead wood, so to speak, out of the club. Pedro Marques, Rafael Camacho, and now Eduardo Enrique, and also Bruno Tavares as well. So yeah, they're Sporting are looking to get rid of those players. It looks like Sporting will get 100k of Demirel's transfer fee to Atlanta. They activated his buy clause, and due to FIFA solidarity payments, will get 1% of the transfer, which amounts to 100,000. It's always nice. It's not a lot of money, but nice to that'll pay someone's wages, I suppose, for a few months, I suppose. So yeah, it's a good little fee to have in. Gonzalo Costa, this is an interesting one, was in the B team. His contract expired at the end of this season. Joined Portimonense and rejected Barcelona. Barcelona offered him a spot in their B team, but he said he wants to play for an A team, whether that's Portimonense or Barcelona. I'm pretty sure Barcelona are not going to play him. So yeah, he joined Portimonense, and that was actually from Pedro Spalduva on Twitter, but also Record has confirmed the story. He did in fact reject Barcelona. There was also offers from Estoril, but he decided Portimonense was the best place for him. Sana Fernandez, the brother of Joelson Fernandez, will sign for Barcelona on a free. Speaking of them, he was linked to Man City. He's not signing a new extension. It seems to be quite a lot of theme within this sort of transfer roundup as well, that people aren't signing extensions. So yeah, he's off to Barcelona, and definitely one to look out for. I think he's going to be a great player in the next few years, but definitely one to keep tabs on. Morita from Santa Clara, the Japanese international, will be announced next week. He's the first member of the squad to not only he doesn't speak Portuguese, doesn't speak Spanish or English, so he comes with a translator, which Sporting will pay for as well. And hopefully they can get Morita up to speed and hopefully become one of the good midfielders in Sporting system. It's a bit of a weird transfer, I think, and one that's dragged on for a while, but it seems to be all done and signed and delivered almost. So yeah, he should be announced next week. So look out for that, or even in the coming week. Just make sure you got your notifications off the Sporting160, and we will be the first to update you. Well, maybe the second if Sporting tweet it first. But yeah, hopefully we can announce that for you as well. Daniel Braganza will have a better role next season than it says, especially if Matheus Nunes is sold, which is weird because in the same vein, they also said that they're going to give 50 million to Ruben Amorim to get a creative midfielder when we've got Braganza. So it's a bit weird. I think Braganza deserves to start next season. I don't think, we should end up splashing cash on such a creative player. Maybe if we get one in for like 8 million or 6 million, whatever, to come off the bench and have Braganza there to sort of learn off him. But yeah, I think it'll be. Hopefully, he'll get a better move. I've a better role even. I love Braganza, and I think he'll move soon if he's not given the game time. George Mendes is an agent as well, so definitely watch out for that one. Chico Lamba and Rafael Fernandez have also rescinded their contracts. They didn't renew them at the end of the season, and they're looking to leave. So Chico Lamba and Rafael Fernandez, both 19-year-old centre backs. Also, earlier in the season, Joao Goulet, I believe his name, or Goulart, whatever his name is, also rescinded his contract and joined, I believe, Varzim on a free. So it seems like a lot of Sporting centre backs seem to be going. I don't know if they see a clear progression, but from what I saw, Chico Lamba and Rafael Fernandez aren't the best players. They got absolutely smoked against Benfica when they played in the under-19, I think it was the under-19 Champions League. Absolutely smoked, and they weren't very good. So maybe a fresh start, do them good if they get into like a second league team or even a newly promoted team like Casapia or something like that, and come off the bench there. You're not sure. You're not sure what their potential is, but hopefully they can make good on it. Last two rumours from Record. Bayern Leverkusen want Gonzalo Plata. Pretty simple one, really. He has an offer on the table from Valladolid, but Valladolid are trying to sort of negotiate it down so they can save a bit of cost with Sporting, but Sporting don't seem to be budging. So Bayern Leverkusen might come in at the last second to swoop for Gonzalo Plata. Definitely a hot prospect, and it's being linked to a number of teams, and will still be a link to a number of teams throughout this video. So yeah, make sure you get to the end of it to find out what other teams are linked to him. But yeah, Bayern Leverkusen are interested in Gonzalo Plata. And lastly, Atletico Madrid and Barcelona are keeping tabs on Pedro Porro. They sent scouts to watch him throughout the season, including Real Madrid as well. But it seems to be Atletico and Barcelona are the most keen ones to get his signature. So yeah, definitely one to keep out on. Obviously, a Spanish-born player, Spanish international. Probably has dreamt of playing for Atletico Madrid or Barcelona. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that one goes as well. Now we're on to Abola. Abola's first one is Luis Felipe will be loaned out again to either Turkey or Greece. He scored 8 goals last year for Crete in Greece. He's definitely attracted some suitors in Turkey and in Greece, so we'll see what happens there. If we could get someone to buy on a transfer, but it seems like he'll be loaned out again with a percentage of his wage being covered by one of the clubs he goes out to. I would say the teams in Turkey are a bit more richer than the ones in Greece, so if we're looking to load him out, we'll probably try and send him to Turkey to try and recoup some of that wage. Sporting are keeping tabs on a guy called Dario Osario, 18 from Chile, from the Universidad of Chile. Apparently, of one for the future. I've not seen anyone else confirm it. Boller said they're just scouting him. There's nothing concrete. There's no offer gone in, but they're just saying he's the one to watch, especially for Sporting scouts. I mentioned this one earlier. Boller reporting Palhinha will be announced as a Fulham player next week. He's currently on holiday in the Maldives. So yeah, next week he should be flying to England to complete his medical, and he should be announced as a Fulham player next week. Abola also reporting that Pedro Porro will be available for 30 million euros. Again, take this one with a grain of salt. He's only just joined. Um, I don't think he's going anywhere, especially for that much. As much as you can sort of come at Verandas for his negotiating tactics, I don't think he'll be silly enough to sell Pedro Porro for 30 million when we could get at least 50 or 60 million out of him. So again, I don't really believe that one. But stranger things have happened, I suppose. They've reiterated links as well to Spanish clubs, Real Madrid, Atletico, and Barcelona. I'm just turning over my page here. We're nearly done. Real Ave want Renan on loan. Renan hasn't played in nearly 3 years now, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Apparently, the Villa de Conde club will want him and want him to be the number one. A bit of a weird move considering like you're going after a keeper who hasn't played in 3 years. He's definitely a little rusty in that sense. Been training on his own, not even having access to sort of the goalkeeper coaches and stuff like that in the training sessions. I feel like Renan was definitely a bit hard done by. People will say like he wasn't very good, but like he was our first choice keeper. It wasn't his fault that he kept starting. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't his fault he got the lucrative wage that he got, and he was just sort of binned off. He's good enough to be the second goalkeeper. I know he's not as young as Franco Israel or like the last goalkeepers were. So yeah. Next one, Gonzalo Plata, again to Valladolid. They're trying to lower his clause. They basically just repeated what Record have been saying, and they're trying to lower his clause and also try and give Sporting a bit more percentage of the future sale to sort of lower it. So Plata might be off to Valladolid permanently. It's going to be a difficult one for them. They, like I said, Bayern Leverkusen interested, and another team interested from another newspaper. So we'll get onto that in a minute. As stated before, Palhinha will double his salary to 2.5 million. Mallorca want to keep Battaglia, and a rescind of contract for him is likely. Apparently, he wants to get a fee from Sporting, or Sporting want to get a fee from him to rescind his contract. Sorry, yeah, Sporting want to get a fee from him to rescind his contract. But it looks like that's going to happen in the near future. So I think Battaglia will either be loaned out again, but with Mallorca covering more of his salary, or he'll just be rescinded for a mutual termination, and he'll just go to Mallorca anyway. Sporting could owe 1.3 million for Diego Abreu. This is due to or Abreu. Sorry for these player names. I'm not really good with them, as you can tell. But yeah, due to a solidarity payment introduced by the league, basically covering players that are stolen from academies that are young on a free transfer, still getting compensation. I believe it's under the age of 22. They'll still be like offered compensation. But maybe Sporting and Porto to come to an agreement. They have done before on player sales, so it'll be interesting to see on that one as well. Nuno Santos says unnamed Italian teams interested on him. Again, it really doesn't offer any more information. Just says that they've been scouting him all season, and that there are at least 3 unnamed Italian teams interested, and we might see an offer from Nuno Santos soon. Lastly, from Ebola, Inacio is linked to Barcelona and United, but will only leave for his release clause, which is 45 million. Recently re-signed his contract, I believe, last December. So yeah, he's been linked away from move this window. I don't think it's happening though, but if it is, like, there's not much we can do about it. If his a 45 million release clause is hit, then there's not much we can do. And last but not least, so I say last but not least, next is Ojogo, and they say on hashtag Slimani Watch, Slimani is linked to Panathinaikos and other teams in Greece. Panathinaikos is looking to get him on loan, but Sporting want to get rid of his wages entirely, so it might be another rescind like a Battaglia. So Slimani might be on his way to Greece. Sporting haven't given up on Samuel Lino either. It will most likely be a loan. Atletico Madrid and Diego Simeone don't want to get rid of him and see him as a bright future for the club. So it might be a loan with no option to buy, but I think it'll be a good pickup as well. Matthias Nunes is linked to Everton again. Last year he was linked to 18 million. Looked like the move was going to happen, but it failed to break down with Rafa Benitez saying no. I think he was sacked shortly thereafter as well. Sorry, it was Ancelotti was there, and then Rafa Benitez took over, and then he said no. So yeah, 18 million was the fee reported last year, but Sporting are demanding up to 50 million now, and Everton have 50 million to spend apparently. So Jogger reporting that Matheus Nunes might be a subject from bid from Everton. Last one from Ojoa, and this is one I kept referring to. Gonzalo Plata is linked to Leeds to replace Rafinha, who should be off to Arsenal, Spurs, or Barcelona are the three teams interested in Rafinha. So Gonzalo Plata might be a sort of replacement for Leeds, which would be a good move for him, and definitely one that they can afford, and they can afford his salary as well. Last thing I want to get into, and this is sort of like the other section. So, Sport Witness, which is an English publication, have said that Suarez is linked to Middlesbrough again for 6 million. Chris Wilde apparently is still a fan of Slovenian, even though he didn't have the best of times at Middlesbrough. But they're trying to see if they can sort of hackle the price down and get him for even cheaper. See if Middlesbrough can get him again. But yeah, that's pretty much it. 26 minutes, sort of. It'll be 28 by the time we finish this. But before you get any further, please make sure you subscribe. Trying to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of December. And if you like these content, like just let us know, or if you don't, let us know. Hopefully, we'll be having Danny and Chris on a future episode, and there'll be more of us, so we can speak a bit more and have a bit more of a podcast type thing. But as for now, these are just transfer roundups, 30 minutes of just getting you up to speed. If you didn't have time to really check Twitter or Facebook or any of the newspapers, you've been at work. I know how busy you guys are, so don't worry about it. But if you want to follow me on Twitter, make sure to follow there at Sam Fonseca, and make sure to follow at Sporting160EN as well on Twitter to stay up to date for all the transfer news, even not transfer news, basketball news, modality news, anything that goes on there, anything sporting news related, we've got you guys covered. And again, let us know what your thoughts are. Thank you for listening and for watching, and peace.